In 2007, most people thought Airbnb was a terrible idea. Why would anybody pay money to stay in a stranger's house? In 2008, investors laughed at Uber. And why would anybody get into a stranger's car? That was the question. In 2010, Instagram had a very tiny team competing with larger companies. And in late 2022, when ChatGPT was launched, most people thought it was just another technology experiment. And today, Airbnb, Uber, Instagram, and ChatGPT have collectively created hundreds and billions of dollars in value. And now here is the interesting question. Were these opportunities invisible? Or were they visible, but most, simply failed to recognize them? Because if that is true, then another question becomes even more pertinent. And that is what opportunities are hiding in the plain sight for us right now. And that is exactly we're going to explore today. Welcome to Unlocking $1 Million Innovation Opportunities in 2026. Before we begin, for those who are new to this channel, my name is Manisha Rawat. And for more than a decade, I have worked at innovation strategy, intellectual property, and technology commercialization. I've worked with innovators, entrepreneurs, and technology-driven businesses, and I've also been recognized as IAM Strategy 300 Professionals, a global recognition for leaders in intellectual property and innovation strategy. I also offer courses on business communication and patent searching. You can find the link in the description below, and if you want to book a consultation with me, please click on my Calendly link. Because I genuinely believe we are living in some of the exciting times. According to PwC, artificial intelligence contributes roughly to about 15 trillion to the economy. Think about this, not million, trillion. Now let's get back to the main topic, because genuinely I believe we are living in some of the most exciting periods in the business history. And let me give you a number. According to PwC, artificial intelligence could actually contribute about $15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030. It's not million, it's trillion. And now whenever people hear about that number, they immediately think, I need to build the next ChatGPT. But I think that's actually the wrong conclusion. So very few people build Google, and even very few people build Facebook, and very few people build ChatGPT. Now think about this. But thousands of successful businesses were built around all those technologies. And that is where I think the real opportunities lie. Did you know that ChatGPT reached million users in just 5 days? Just imagine, just 5 days? And Netflix took years to reach that milestone, while Facebook took months, and ChatGPT did it in days. And that tells us something very important. Technology adoption is accelerating, and ideas spread faster. Products spread faster. Markets change faster, and which means opportunities appear even more faster. And they also disappear faster. And that is exactly why paying attention has become such an important skill. Yes. When ChatGPT exploded in popularity, most of the people asked the question, how can I use ChatGPT? That was, perfectly a reasonable question at that point of time. But a much more interesting question would have been, what new problem is ChatGPT creating? Because every major innovation creates new opportunities for you. But before it creates opportunities, it usually creates problems. And think about it. Schools suddenly started, worrying about the AI-written Schools suddenly started worrying about the AI-written experiments and assignments. Companies were concerned about confidentiality of their systems. Business started asking whether AI-generated content could be trusted. And even government began discussing the regulations. Professionals started wondering how their jobs would change. And just one technology and hundreds of new challenges. And hidden inside those challenges are opportunities. And now, in fact, after spending more than a decade in working with the innovators in technology businesses, I've noticed something very interesting. Successful innovators don't spend most of their time looking for the ideas. They spend most of their, time looking for the problems. Uber did not invent the cars, and neither Airbnb invent houses. Stripe did not invent the payments. They solved certain frustrations, simply frustrations, experienced by millions of people. And here is something really fascinating. If somebody has pitched Airbnb to you in 2007, most of the people would have rejected it. If somebody, had pitched Uber to you in 2008, most people would have rejected it as well. And that's because breakthrough ideas often, look strange in the beginning. Innovation usually feels obvious in the hindsight, and that is true. And that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned, working with the entrepreneurs. People often fall in love with ideas, and successful innovators fall in love with the problems, because people don't pay for ideas, people pay for solutions. And now, if every major technological shift creates new opportunities, the obvious question becomes, where exactly should we be looking at? Because saying AI, future is very easy. The real challenge is identifying value that is actually being created. And when I look at this impact AI is having across industries, 5 themes stand out. Not predictions and not guarantees, but 5 areas that I believe deserve very close attention. The first one is helping people work better with AI. Most of the conversations today is focused on whether AI will replace the humans or not, blah blah blah. And I think many of the biggest opportunities will come from helping humans become more productive. Think about doctors, teachers, consultants, lawyers, designers, engineers, and business owners, so many of them. Most of them don't want to be replaced, and that is true. They want to become better at what they do. And if something and somebody can help them save the time, that will be really interesting. The second area is trust and verification. One of the biggest emerging, surprises today. Can we trust what AI tells us? How do we verify the information? These are some of the questions. How do we identify the mistakes? How do we detect fake content? And, the more AI enters our lives, the more important trust becomes. And whenever something becomes important, businesses always emerge around it. Now, the third area is healthcare. I believe, interestingly, some of the biggest opportunities may not come from technology companies at all, but they may come from industries struggling with massive inefficiencies. And healthcare is a perfect example. People want faster diagnosis, they want better access, to facilities, lower cost at the same time, and better outcomes. And healthcare systems around the world are just under, a crunch, a pressure. And whenever a problem affects millions of people, innovators start paying attention. And the fourth area where I think is, something can happen is cybersecurity. History gives us clue here. Because when the internet became mainstream, cybersecurity became a huge industry. When smartphones became mainstream, mobile security became important. And now artificial intelligence is creating completely new set of risks, right? Businesses are adopting AI faster than ever before, which means protecting information systems and digital assets become even more important. And that is why cybersecurity remains one of the most interesting areas to watch in the future. And the fifth area is one that is very close to my own profession, which is innovation and intellectual property. Today, people can generate ideas faster than ever before, but generating ideas is just only the beginning. How do you protect those ideas? How do you commercialize them? These are the questions. How do you license them? How do you turn them into long-term business value? And those questions, are becoming increasingly important. And I believe many people are underestimating how valuable this space will become, over the next few years. Take Nvidia as an example. For years, people actually thought Nvidia primarily as a gaming company. Everybody believed that. Today, it sits at the center of the AI revolution. The company did not just get lucky. It prepared before everyone else understood where the market was heading. So that's another lesson worth remembering. Opportunities always rewards preparation. So not prediction, just preparation. Remember this. One of my favorite quotes, comes from William Gibson. And he said, the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. Understood? I love that quote because it explains innovation perfectly. The future doesn't arrive overnight. It arrives quietly. And some people notice it early, and most of the people notice it later. And by the time everybody is talking about it, or talking about an opportunity, the biggest advantage is often gone. So if there is one idea I'd like you to take away from this video is this. Don't spend all of your time looking at the next big idea. Spend more time looking for the next big problem, because hidden inside today's problems are tomorrow's opportunities. And some of those opportunities may even be, far more worth than $1 million. If you're working on a startup, a product, an invention, or a technology-driven business and would like to discuss innovation strategy, intellectual property strategy, and commercialization potential, I've included a complimentary innovation strategy link in the description below. And if you're interested in business communication and patent searches or innovation strategy, you can also explore my courses at courses.patfrigate.com. And finally, if you found this discussion useful, subscribe to this channel because every week I share practical insights on innovation, AI, intellectual property, technologies, and business opportunities. My goal is not to help you follow trends. My goal is to help you spot the trends before they become obvious, because by the time everybody is talking about an opportunity, the biggest advantage is usually gone. Thank you for watching. And remember, the next $1 million opportunity may not arrive as an opportunity, but it may arrive as, something disguised as a problem. The question is, will you recognize it before everyone else does? Think about this.